Hello, basically my speech is on how the emergency medical services system operates. The point of this is that EMS, or emergency medical services, can be operated or be described in 4 stages. Hopefully by understanding this, you folks will be in a better position to understand it and the whole 4 phases of it. First off, how many have ever needed to call EMS or 911 for someone else? Many people have basically used this, have had to call 911 for someone else or someone they know, but never for themselves. And like I said, hopefully by the time we're through with this, you'll be in a better position to deal with this when it's needed for yourself. Basically, EMS, or emergency medical services, occurs in 4 stages. The first stage of EMS is the dispatch center. The second stage is the response to the patient. And the third stage is the assessment of the patient. The fourth stage is the actual transporting of the patient. Like we said, dispatch is the first stage of EMS. This is when you actually have to call and you say someone's hurt or injured or someone's sick. A woman or man is on the other end in the dispatch center, and they receive the call and they take that and say, hey, what actually do you need? The dispatcher, first of all, has to remain calm. And the dispatcher has to ask questions saying, hey, whether do you need EMS, medical services, or whether police are needed. They're going to ask numerous questions. First off, though, the most important thing is, what number do you call when you need emergency medical services? The most important thing you need to know is that you need to call 911. When you call that, a dispatcher, like I said, is going to ask numerous questions. First off, what's the address of where you need help? How many people need help? Is it just yourself, or is it a couple people got sick? What's the chief complaint? That's the actual problem of what the person needs, whether it's chest pain, fell down, bleeding, whatever. That's the actual chief complaint. And then they're going to ask you, is the scene secure or safe? So do you need police to respond? Did someone break in and hurt somebody? Did someone get shot? Are police needed? Melissa Stagnano says that they are the link which connects the person or people in need with emergency services they require. Okay? Once a dispatcher notifies the emergency medical services, an alarm tone goes off, and the ambulance that you see on the road must now respond or arrive at a location. Okay, this brings us to the second stage. The second stage of EMS is the response to the patient. EMS must drive to the patient quickly but safely. The personnel must drive with lights and sirens, and this is known as Code 3 when they drive with the lights and the sirens blaring. They must obey all traffic rules. Nick Carabine of the News Herald reports that motorists are supposed to pull off to the right side of the road and come to a complete stop when ambulances are flashing their lights or sounding their sirens. Basically, when we get to the house, EMS must bring the required equipment to where the patient is located. This consists of a stretcher with an airway bag that has the stethoscope and their equipment on it, a monitor which can assess the patient, okay, and their heart monitor, and medications. After you arrive and you bring your equipment, you must make contact with the patient, which brings us to the third stage. The assessment of the patient is the third stage of EMS. This is the most important phase, in my opinion. This is where you make your introduction. You must introduce yourself to the patient. You must remain calm and clear-headed regardless of the situation. It could be someone dying, or it could just mean someone needing to be helped up. Tatiana Prophet of the Daily Press states that until the ambulance arrives at the hospital, a patient's life is in the paramedics' hands. You must determine the chief complaint of the patient. Like we just discussed earlier, that's what's actually wrong with the person. Is it chest pain? Is it a stomach ache? They just need help getting up? Whatever their complaint is the chief complaint. You have to form your general impression of the patient. Basically, that's their age, their condition. What does it look like when you found them? Were they laying on the ground? Were they shot? Were they just sick, throwing up? That's your general impression. Is the patient alert? Or are they alert to verbal? Or are they alert to pain? Is the patient unconscious and unresponsive? You have to obtain vital signs of the patient. Okay? This is where you ask a lot of questions. Okay? How long ago did the pain start? What were you doing when the pain started? Can you describe the pain? Is it a crushing, a tearing, a stabbing? Okay? On a pain scale, how bad is the pain? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst pain, 1 being no pain at all. Have you ever had this pain before? What's the medical history? This is where you have to become like a detective and ask numerous questions. Then it's where you treat the patient. We apply our oxygen, we start our IV fluids, we administer medications, things like that. Blood pressure, we obtain a heart monitor, medications. After you treat the patient, you now have to transport the patient to the appropriate facility. This brings us to the fourth stage. The fourth stage of EMS is the actual transporting. Okay? This is really important as well. Does your patient need to go to the hospital? Is it an old guy who just fell down and just needs to be helped up? Is the patient a minor who can't make a decision for themselves? What facility does your patient need to be transported to? Is the patient a baby? Is the patient a person who can't make a decision for themselves? They need an adult to do it. Is your patient a trauma patient that needs to go to a specific hospital that can handle their needs, where they shot, stabbed? Does the patient need to go by ambulance, which is not sometimes as important as when they need to go by helicopter? Okay? Brian Haas of the Sun Sentinel says that about twice a day in Palm Beach County, patients are whisked away in a race against time via the trauma hawk. What priority is your patient? Is your patient stable, which is known as priority 3? Is your patient unstable? That's priority 2, which is serious. Or the most serious is your patient near death, which is priority 1. This basically allows me to summarize the stages of making the EMS system operate. The summary is it occurs in 4 stages. Dispatch center is the first stage. The response to the patient is the second stage. The third stage is the assessment. The fourth stage is the actual transport of the patient. Hopefully by reviewing this and by understanding how the EMS system operates, you'll be in a better position to comprehend the entire process from the first call to the actual hospital door. That's it. I want